September 11th, 2001, a day that would change the United States of America forever. Almost 3,000 people lost their lives that day, including some that had close ties with people in the NASCAR community. On the upcoming weekend of the day of the attack, NASCAR was scheduled to race at the New Hampshire Motor Speedway, but the race ended up getting postponed until the very end of the season in November. The NASCAR community was already having a tough year in 2001 as people were still mourning the loss of Dale Earnhardt. But on September 23rd, 2001, NASCAR would get back to business as usual at Dover Motor Speedway. In honor of those who lost their lives, the fans were all given small American flags, as well as a lot of the cars featured American flags on them, including Ken Schrader's car, which his sponsor M&M's elected to remove all logos and completely wrap the car in an American flag. Dale Jarrett was on pole, and MLB Hall of Famer Cal Ripken Jr. would wave the green flag and get this one underway.
The championship down to just 10 races to go. Jeff Gordon lost ground to Ricky Rudd at Richmond. He starts in 23rd spot, very precarious here at Dover. Let him loose, Cal. Let's go racing at Dover.
With the crowd absolutely going ballistic, Bobby Labonte would come around to lead lap 1, but by lap 3, third place starter Dale Earnhardt Jr. would take over the lead of the race. Throughout the entire 2001 NASCAR season, lap 3 would be silent and a remembrance for Dale Earnhardt. But during this race, NBC took the opportunity to use lap 3 to remember all of America's fallen heroes, which was definitely appropriate and a nice gesture. And Dale Jr. would continue to lead until lap 20 when the first caution of the day would come out when Bill Elliott got loose under Bobby Labonte, and both of them would go hard into the wall, causing heavy damage, but both drivers would make repairs to their cars and continue on in the race.
There we see the 9 car of Elliott. We see that big wiggle. He has to go up the hill to make contact. The body slam against the 18 and both cars. Almost like synchronized swimming. Although this is not an Olympic event here, folks. And there we see Jeff Gordon going right between the 2 cars.
None of the leaders came down pit road, and Dale Earnhardt Jr. would lead the field back to green.
Ricky Craven on the outside of Earnhardt Jr. trying to take the lead away, and Hornaday on the outside of Rudd. And Ricky Craven to the front.
Ricky Craven was able to get to the outside of Dale Earnhardt Jr. on the restart and take the lead through turns 1 and 2. Craven would remain out front for 15 laps before Dale Earnhardt Jr. would get back around him. After making some contact as Ricky Craven was trying to get around the lapped car of Bill Elliott. The second caution of the race would come out on lap 55 when Jeremy Mayfield would lose a right front tire and absolutely pound the outside wall, bringing out the yellow flag once again. Unfortunately, there was no replay of this incident, and the exhaust pipes literally got knocked right off the car and onto the track, as it took several moments for Jeremy Mayfield to lower the window net and signal that he was okay. This was a pretty scary accident, as it was later revealed that Jeremy Mayfield's seatbelt was partially torn in this accident, which a similar thing happened to Dale Earnhardt earlier that year at Daytona, and Jeremy was transported to the hospital for further evaluation as he had some bruises and a chipped tooth from this accident. This time, everyone would come down pit road for 4 tires and fuel, and Ricky Rudd would win the race off pit road and lead the field back to green on the restart. Unfortunately, the restart would get missed by the broadcast due to a commercial break, but when they came back, Dale Earnhardt Jr. was already past Ricky Rudd and back into the lead of the race.
We're just back underway at Dover, and on the first lap after the restart, Dale Earnhardt Jr. got after Ricky Rudd.
After taking the lead from Ricky Rudd, Dale Earnhardt Jr. would go on to lead 104 straight laps, and during this period we would see the caution flag come out 4 times. The first being on lap 70 when Brett Bodine went for this spin. The second on lap 117 for oil on the racetrack when Kurt Busch would lose an engine. The third one would be a big one when Jeff Gordon makes contact with Ron Hornaday.
Oh, some contact, and Hornaday going around.
Mark Martin is crashing. Johnny Benson is crashing in the aftermath. Another couple of cars involved. Ward Burton's in it.
Mark Martin's in it. Well, it looks to me like 24 car got in the left rear quarter of the 14 car and just got a little bit sideways getting off the corner, BP.
Yep. And somehow Jeff Gordon, as we see Ward Burton just run into the 14 car and destroy the front end of the 22 Caterpillar Dodge.
After the initial contact between Jeff Gordon and Ron Hornaday, the stack up of guys slowing up would end up resulting in Mark Martin, Johnny Benson, and Ward Burton also falling victim to this accident. But despite how this one looked, all drivers would continue on in the race, at least for the time being. As I miss those days where you could actually repair your car and get back out on the racetrack to get every point you possibly can. And the fourth caution would come out when Andy Houston would get a little bit too high in turns 1 and 2 and would end up looping the back of his car around and going into the outside wall. All of the leaders would come down pit road for a routine 4 tires and fuel pit stop, but Tony Stewart would just edge Dale Earnhardt Jr. off of pit road to take over the lead of the race.
Now we'll see how those 2 tires work for Skinner here, BP. Probably okay at the start, but
Not working too good right now. He's holding up Dale Jarrett big time as they all try to go around the 7 car, Mike Wallace.
Let's remember that Jeff Gordon is back in 18th place on this restart, and here comes Junior.
Wow. You know, those guys in the garage here, they're really a smart bunch.
Dale Jr.'s lead though would be short-lived as he would only remain out front for 11 laps before he would get passed by Ricky Rudd, and this would be the first time all race that we would see Earnhardt be challenged, as up until this point Earnhardt was the one doing the challenging. The 7th caution of the race would come out 1 lap shy of halfway when Michael Waltrip would lose the back end and back hard into the outside wall in turn number 2, bringing an end to his day.
here you see Michael just gets up high and he just gets that, looks like he gets that right rear and that slippery stuff up there and gets her sideways.
Evidently there's grip right next to the loose stuff. And they're all going up there. Dale Jarrett's been running up there so high, trying to find some grip.
Because his tires are up on the right side. Air pressures are up, so he just got the slippery part.
All the leaders would hit pit road under this yellow flag once again, and Ricky Rudd would maintain his lead off of pit road. This green flag run would also be pretty short of only 21 laps before the 8th caution of the race would come out when Robert Presley got into the outside wall.
Well, this happens going in the corner, so.
Yep, sure does.
Now there were some other cars around.
Yeah.
Could have been contact with another car as he started down the corner.
File that one under inconclusive.
Ricky Rudd would maintain his lead through the pit cycle, and after another 30 laps of green flag running, the caution would come out once again when Dave Blaney gets into the outside wall after blowing a right front tire going into turn number 1.
Yeah, if you watch him go down turn 1, right there, the right front tire blows, and this is what happens.
And once again, all the leaders would be on pit road for 4 tires and fuel here, and Ricky Rudd would be able to maintain his lead. Dale Earnhardt Jr. had a little bit of a slow pit stop and would lose several spots, but lucky for him, he had a really fast race car, and the longest green flag run of the entire race was to follow after this yellow flag, with that being a total of 72 laps.
Remember, Craven just got 2 tires, second place car, the 32, and Dale Earnhardt Jr. is back in 8th. Got all the lap cars to the right of your screen mixed in and among them as well.
And you see our bubbles in the lead 3 cars. We'll see the distance and how fast that Rudd drives away from them. So far, they're staying fairly close.
Yellow car, Kenny Wallace, first car 1 lap down. He's in 23rd place.
Since Ricky Rudd took over the lead of the race, it seemed like he had a slight edge over the 8 car and was taking full advantage running away from the field, while Earnhardt had to work his way up through the lapped cars and through traffic from 8th spot, as you see him here taking 3rd from Jeff Gordon. But he was still a solid 5.5 seconds back from leader Ricky Rudd at this point. With 54 laps to go, the whole complexion of this race was about to change, as Ricky Rudd, who was trying to lap Rusty Wallace, ended up getting tagged by the 2 car and going for a spin in turn number 4. Thankfully, he did not hit anything, but he would lose several spots and fall back to 7th place, giving the lead to his teammate Dale Jarrett and putting Dale Earnhardt Jr. back up to 2nd place.
Did Rusty hit him?
Yeah, Rusty got into
I believe
the
Rusty
back
got
of
in the
him.
Wow. Remember Bristol when they traded shots at the last lap and after the checkered flag? How about that?
Once again, we would see all the leaders come to pit road here for 4 tires and fuel, and Dale Jarrett would be able to maintain the lead off pit road.
Kind of brings Dale Jr. back into the mix here too. He's up in the 3rd. Got Stewart 4th, Rudd 5th, Marlin 6th.
The 32 and the 99 car, both those guys caught a tough break. They made their pit stop. The caution flag came out. Now both those cars are lapped down.
During a commercial break with 39 laps to go, Dale Earnhardt Jr. would make the move on Dale Jarrett and take over the lead of the race in the closing stages. Unfortunately for DJ, he would continue to lose spots and slip back to 5th, trying desperately to hold off Tony Stewart for that 5th and final top 5 spot, but the 2 would make contact with 13 laps to go and DJ would go for a spin in turn number 2. This would end up being the 11th and final caution of the race.
Big hole down there, and it just closed up. And actually, that's, when Dale we were talking about the line he was running. He would drift up the racetrack. Then you remember we said he came back down to the bottom of the track, exiting the corner. Tough angle, but that's what it looked like happened.
Pit road would have a few takers here, but the leaders would stay out on the racetrack, and Dale Earnhardt Jr. would lead the field back to green with only 7 laps to go.
Single file restart. Now 7 laps to go as they come to the green. Earnhardt Jr., Nady, Rudd, Gordon, Stewart, Dale Jarrett's back in 14th with a fresh set of tires.
Tell you what, Junior's car is pretty doggone fast, and Ricky Rudd, a little contact there looked like between Jeff Gordon and Rudd. A challenge for 3rd by Jeff Gordon.
Fans on their feet, white flag is out. Next time for a white flag, my mistake. No, that was the white flag lap. This is the final lap. Starting every way, the white flag. Final lap. Dale Earnhardt Jr. is going to lead 193 of 400 laps. The American and checkered flags out at Dover. Earnhardt Jr. wins.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. with the victory, leading the most laps on the day with a total of 193, bringing all 140,000 fans in attendance to their feet, going absolutely nuts. And personally, I think this is one of Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s biggest wins in his career, and his victory celebration after would be one of the most iconic in the sport's history, with that huge American flag, doing an Alan Kulwicki style Polish victory lap, facing the fans, and you could just hear them going absolutely nuts.
fans, it doesn't get much better than this. And Earnhardt carrying the American flag around the racetrack after winning.
But before we end this one, remember that contact with Ricky Rudd and Rusty Wallace? Well, this happened after the race.
Well, Bill, not quite the celebration for Ricky Rudd. You obviously had the best car there at the end of the race. What happened with you and Rusty Wallace?
Well, Rusty, I don't know what was wrong with him. He was off the pace. Something was wrong with him. I guess he needed a caution. I was lapping him, and I guess he needed a caution and decided to wreck the leader. I've never seen nothing like it. I know he's got the nickname Rubberhead in the garage area now. I never understood it, but I understand it now.
Some very strong words between you two. What was said in the garage area?
Well, it was just a sort of a one-on-one discussion, and we didn't discuss too much. It's too big of a crowd around, so we'll discuss it later.
I know it's difficult to have perspective, but this was a great run for your team, Ricky.
Well, it really was. You know, I mean, Little E, he was definitely very, very fast all race, and then he faded there for a long stretch, and he was a fast guy at the end. Like I said, when we spun, we did something to the car. I don't know if they banged the fender up or something. It's just a shame you got to deal with nonsense like this. You know, I used to have a lot of respect for that guy. I wouldn't give him 2 cents right now.
Can you describe the disappointment?
It's just kind of hard to put it in words. I guess the only thing that keeps me going, I think about what's going on here, and I look at the world's problems. This isn't too bad.
All right, they finished top 5 today, but somehow doesn't feel like a top 5, Matt.
And Marty, the other member of that duo is Rusty Wallace. And Rusty, first off, what's your take on the incident between yourself and Ricky Rudd?
Well, my take on the incident, he was getting ready to lap me, and as he lapped me, he run into me in the back straightaway. And as I went down the corner, I just stood in the throttle, tried to pass him on outside. He slowed up a little bit, I got in the tail end of him. That's my story.
A lot of speculation, possibly a payback for the post-race incident at Bristol?
No, I wouldn't payback. We're going too fast to do stuff like that, but he's got to quit. His memory's pretty short. He rammed the crap out of me at Bristol, you know, and now he forgets about it. You know, I named the guy a Conehead a long time ago. I think I'm going to name that dude that. He's got a hell of a problem out there, I'll tell you.
You did have a slight conversation with him in the garage area. What took place?
Oh, he was hot because he was leading the race and he got spun, you know, but I'd be hot too. But he's got to watch the way he drives. He's a good driver, and I respect him. I didn't respect him at Bristol, and I didn't respect him when he got ready to lap me. He ran into me. So, you know, but I tell you what, I was going to go for it, try to hold my lap back. I didn't run in the back of him to spin him out on purpose, I'll tell you that. But I was going to give him hell.
That's Rusty Wallace, Dave, and it always seems like we leave the monster mile after it's reared its ugly head with somebody.
Well, that's going to do it for this week's video. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. If you're into motorsports history just like me, make sure to subscribe to my channel. I upload every Tuesday. Make sure to let me know in the comments how you felt about this one, and hit that thumbs up button if you enjoyed it. Thank you all to my channel members for the support, and I hope to see everyone next week. Take care, everybody.